What is up, guys? It's your boy Optimal Cactus, and today we are going to be discussing how you can pick the best possible weapons for your Onslaught loadout, because I've seen a lot of people making some, let's just say, suboptimal decisions when it comes to weaponry. And to be honest, this is going to be a video where some of you guys watching say, bruh, I already knew this forever ago, what's this guy talking about? And then other people are going to say, oh my goodness, I had no idea it worked like that, thank you so much, this made such a big difference, right? So this all has to do with getting a massive damage boost when playing Onslaught by using certain weapons. Now, if we go to the Onslaught menu in-game, things start out pretty obvious as to what to use because we have overcharged weapons. So right here we have overcharged machine gun, and that means things like the Xenophage this week are incredibly effective. Now it is Monday, so this will be changing to something else tomorrow, but the Xenophage is boosted so much that, for example, the first week I was actually switching to the Galahorn plus rockets to DPS the bosses. But as you can see right here, this week we're just staying on the Xenophage because it cranks that hard with a 25% damage boost. Like, it changes the meta of Onslaught every single week depending on what these overcharged weapons are. And we also have overcharged sniper rifles, so stuff like the Secession is performing quite well too. But what if I told you you can kind of select which weapons you want to get that 25% damage bonus, and that is going to be through the seasonal artifact. So as you can see right here in this very first column, we have stuff like unstoppable hand cannon. So yeah, now you can stun unstopped champions with hand cannons, but actually the final line is extremely important. It says, additionally, hand cannons are always overcharged when the modifier is active. Which means, in Onslaught, because the overcharged modifier is a thing, if you have unstoppable hand cannon, every single hand cannon in the game does 25% more damage. That is why stuff like the Zayuli's Bane is seeing so much play right now. Like, it's a fantastic solar hand cannon, now it does 25% more. The Midnight Coup, if you've been farming that, if you have some decent rolls, that thing is going to be slamming within Onslaught as well. But it actually goes further, because if you're picking something like piercing sidearms, you have the Indebted Kindness, guys. This is actually a special sidearm. It shoots rocket rounds. So that means this bad boy, a special, is doing 25% more damage in Onslaught as long as you have piercing sidearms selected. Now, two other examples of this happening that aren't as good for Onslaught, but I thought I would point out for other activities in the game, is that if you do pick Unstopped Hand Cannons, that will affect the Ariana's Vow, which is a special, and then if you pick Unstopped Bows, that should affect the Leviathan's Breath, which is a heavy. And so that means you're not just picking these mods based on what champions you're going to face, you're picking them based on what weapons you want to use. You want to use the Graviton Lance? Well, you better pick Overload Pulse Rifles. That's going to make your Graviton do 25% more damage. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Because guys, we also have other perks, Origin perk Specialization 1. So this says, improves the benefits provided by the Sundering, Nano Munitions, and Nanotech Tracer Rockets origin traits, right? But it also says, and a lot of people have overlooked this, additionally, weapons with these traits are always overcharged. And so that means any weapon, as long as you have this perk selected, with one of these origin traits does 25% more damage in Onslaught. So let's take a look at some of those weapons that you might want to consider using. First of all, the Subjunctive, right? This has nano munitions. This arc submachine gun can actually get Volt Shot plus Threat Detector, actually a very good roll, and it's kind of the only way, if you want to use a submachine gun, that you can get that 25% damage bonus is by using that perk plus the Subjunctive, right? So definitely consider that. Now, Sundering is an interesting one because that's the origin trait for Warlord's Ruin weapons, such as the Indebted Kindness. We just went over this, but this actually means you can now overcharge your Indebted Kindness through this perk if you don't want to select piercing sidearms, and it frees up more options in that first column. Moving on from there, Nanotech Tracer Rockets is actually all of the Neomuna weapons. So the Basso Ostinato, if you want to use this rapid fire frame shotgun, you can overcharge it. You also have the Iterative Loop, which is a rapid fire frame arc fusion rifle that can get Volt Shot as a potential option. Moving on to the heavies, you actually have the Circular Logic Machine Gun. So if you're really enjoying using machine guns in Onslaught this week because of overcharge machine guns, but that's going away tomorrow, you could throw this bad boy on and still have a machine gun doing 25% bonus damage. And you also have the Dimensional, not even going to bother, and this is a wave frame heavy grenade launcher, and that archetype got a ton of buffs recently, is extremely ammo efficient. You could even consider using this. But moving on from there, we have some even more juicy options with another Origin Perk Specialization, Origin Perk Specialization 2, and that's going to improve the benefits for Noble Deeds, Unsated Hunger, Head Rush, and Dragon's Vengeance. And again, it says the weapons with these traits are always overcharged. And here we have some really juicy options. Number one, if you liked grenade launchers, remember a previous week there was overcharged grenade launchers, so stuff like the Edge Transit was really, really fantastic for beating those bosses in Onslaught. But hey, once that went away, it didn't become that viable. You can use the Regnant. This thing is a very, very good craftable grenade launcher, right? It can get explosive light, and you can get that 25% bonus damage on this thing. That is a big deal. Now, if you're more in the sword space, especially if you're just farming to wave 10, you do have stuff like the Caretaker that also has Noble Deeds. And speaking of swords, in terms of Unsated Hunger, you do have the Thin Precipice for a Strand Sword. But after that, again, getting a lot more juicy is actually going to be for Head Rush. We have the Semi-Cotitian Rocket Launcher. Now, this is actually one of the more used weapons in endgame Nightfalls, and that's because people use the role that you're seeing right here with Bipod plus Field Prep. And because it's craftable, you can guarantee this roll. This is unbelievably ammo efficient. You have 2 people with Semi-Cotitians and 1 person with a Galahorn, and you have like 15 rounds in your rocket, all being boosted by those Wolfpack rounds. It is insane, again, for Nightfalls. You can do that same thing within Onslaught and get that 25% damage boost if you have that Origin trait boost for the Semi-Cotitian. That is seriously a juicy option. And then moving on from there, guys, for the Dragon's Vengeance Origin trait, we actually have the Scatter Signal. This Strand Rapid Fire Frame Fusion just came out within Season of the Wish, and it is clearly the best PvE fusion rifle in the entire game. Broken roll of controlled burst plus overflow, just phenomenal. You're telling me I can simply pick one perk within my artifact and I have this thing doing 25% bonus damage? And again, I already see people I've already been using the Scatter Signal in Onslaught. If you are using this thing, I think it's 100% worth getting that big boost to its damage by selecting that artifact perk. And then, guys, the last weapon I'm going to shout out here is the Appendance. It has Dragon's Vengeance, and it is the only legendary Strand trace rifle in the entire game. I have seen a lot of people utilizing the Cenotaph mask on their warlocks to generate heavy for everyone. Well, you need a trace rifle, so being able to do 25% more damage with this thing, I don't think it's maybe quite as good as the Divinity, but hey, not everyone has the Divinity, and this may matter. So guys, when you are selecting your weaponry for Onslaught, there's really no excuse not to be getting that 25% damage boost. With the 2 weekly modifiers, plus all the different anti-champion options, plus these different origin trait options, you can ensure that every single weapon in your loadout, if you want it to be, has 25% more damage, right? And again, that is a significant damage boost that you really don't want to be giving up on. Now, of course, don't pick like a trash weapon just because it has head rush, right? But again, there's enough good weapons here that we went over in this video that you really can be making the most of this overcharged bonus and utilizing those different seasonal artifact perks to your advantage. Guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.